She did not remember a time before fear, because fear was the first thing she learned to breathe, learned to carry the way other children carried lullabies. And in that frontier village, where the earth stayed hard and the people harder, her mother's shadow was the clock that ruled her days, stretching long in the morning when the work began and shrinking at night when the bruises had nowhere left to hide. And every dawn she knelt beside the washtub with hands already swollen from yesterday, knowing the switch would come. Not if she failed, but simply because the woman behind her needed somewhere to pour her poison. And the sound always came first, that thin, slicing whistle, followed by the wet thud of wood against skin. And the girl learned to keep her mouth closed, because crying only made it last longer. Learned to fold inward, to disappear inside herself, while her body took what it must. And the village knew, they all knew, because pain carries. But they turned their faces away the way people do when survival demands silence. Until one afternoon the mountain man returned from the high timber with his shoulders bent beneath pelts and firewood and eyes dulled by years of chosen isolation. And he heard the sound that stopped him cold, a sound too familiar to be ignored. And he watched as the girl's back tightened like prey sensing death while the switch rose again, and something inside him cracked open. Something he had sealed away after, burying his wife and child beneath stones, far from any road. And when he stepped forward, his boots crushed gravel loud enough to announce judgment. And his voice came low and steady, not loud, not angry, which frightened the woman more than shouting ever could. And when she sneered and raised the switch again, he caught her, wrist midair, and the village seemed to hold its breath, because the grip was not cruel but absolute. The kind that did not need strength to promise an ending. And he told her the girl was leaving. Not asked, not negotiated. And the woman's rage collapsed into something smaller when she saw in his eyes that this man had already lost everything worth threatening. And she let go, and the girl stayed kneeling, because hope had taught her to be careful. And when he knelt in front of her and offered his hand, she stared at it as though it might burn. And for a long moment, the only sound was her breath shaking against her ribs. And when she finally took it, her fingers were numb, not from cold, but from disbelief. And they walked away together while the village watched, saying nothing, doing nothing, because endings are uncomfortable to witness. And the climb into the mountains tore at her lungs and legs. But pain that moved forward felt different than pain that trapped you. And at his cabin, she waited for the lie to reveal itself, waited for the cruelty to wear a new face. But none came, only silence, only food placed near her without demand, only nights by a fire where the darkness stayed outside the door. And she did not sleep at first, because safety felt like a trick. And when nightmares tore her awake, she found him sitting nearby, not touching, not speaking, just present, like the mountains themselves. And days became weeks, and the bruises faded, but the fear lingered deep in her bones. And she flinched at raised hands, at sudden sounds, at kindness most of all. Because kindness asked something of her she did not yet know how to give. And the mountain man never rushed her healing because he understood that broken things do not mend on command. And slowly she learned that mornings could arrive without punishment, that mistakes did not summon pain, that her name could be spoken without venom. And the man who had thought himself hollow discovered that protecting her gave shape to his grief, gave purpose to the silence he had chosen. And when winter wrapped the cabin in snow and the fire burned low one night, she finally asked why he had taken her. And he told her the truth in pieces, that some wounds never close, and some children are not meant to survive the places they are born. And in that moment, she understood that rescue is not loud, not heroic, but quiet and stubborn and costly. And she slept that night without dreams for the first time in her life. And if this story pulled something raw out of you, if you believe that even in the darkest corners mercy can still find a way in, then subscribe to the channel, because these are the stories that deserve to be heard. Stories where pain does not win, and silence is finally broken.